anti-government conspiracy theories are huge in the black community. And it's something that is not discussed very often, but anyone who like knows black people, which are almost never the upper middle class white people who shriek about racism. And even if they know black people, they know black people from their college campus. They don't know black people like from the hood, you know what I mean? And it doesn't really exist in those worlds. They have their own conspiracy theories, but it's all about like white supremacy and shit like that. But black people in the hood have conspiracies like, you know, like if you remember when Obama's old pastor, Reverend Wright, when that video of him surfaced, and what people would jump on about him was that he was anti-Semitic, or that he was anti-American, or that he was anti-white. But the thing that they didn't really focus on as much is how incredibly conspiratorial he was. Is that in those sermons that like kind of blew up, he was saying shit like they created AIDS and sent it into the black community. They created crack and sent it into the black community, and all of these things. And the crack part, he's partially right on. Anyway, but the point is, I don't know about the AIDS. Can't prove that one. But I think this contributes quite a bit to why black people are understandably, after their history in America, a little bit skeptical of the government's going to give everybody injections. And so that's been a very interesting kind of dynamic. And particularly, it's something we've talked about before on the show, where the progressive movement has really hung their hat now for decades, but particularly in the last decade, over on the idea that anything that disproportionately negatively impacts black people is racist, and we don't have to worry about intent because all that really matters is the outcome, right? So again, if and also that if the outcome is negative, that we can then infer from that your intent is racist. Those are kind of the two, playbooks. And this is why voter ID is racist. It doesn't matter if there's anything in the law saying black people can't vote. The fact is that black people are less likely to have the ID, and therefore it is racist. And then also, therefore, we can determine that your intent was racist when you passed it. Like, okay. But now, all of a sudden, with these vaccine passports, that's kind of a thorn in their side. That's a little bit of a problem. And it's funny to watch them squirm when you point this out. I had this video on I don't know if you guys saw, but on one of my Kennedy appearances that kind of went viral across like all platforms. Like my wife just sent me that it was on TikTok.
Nice.
I've never done anything with TikTok. I just figured out that was a thing. But yeah, I got like 1 million views on there. Anyway, but I was saying to this woman who was she was like one of the head advisors at the State Department under Obama, and I was saying it's interesting that you progressives, after I was calling her a fascist, quite literally, I said to her, I go, it's interesting, none of you guys seem to care anymore. This disproportionately affects minorities. Anyway, so that's the thing. So this story...
Did she respond to it?
Oh, yeah, I think she just like scoffed at me or something. I don't know. She didn't have
that we don't care about minorities.
She didn't even give me one of those.
How dare you?
She didn't even give me one of those. She really she had very little to respond. But anyway, so this is, I don't know if any of you guys saw, this was, speaking of viral videos, there was a video of a restaurant here in New York where a couple of black women were denied service due to their lack of vaccine proof. A fight broke out. And I don't know the details of it. I don't know exactly who was in the right or who was in the wrong there. But I grew up in New York City. Everyone might have been in the wrong. Is that?
Yeah, I think so. That's going to be my guess.
Quite possibly. I'm just saying, I grew up in New York City. Black women, speaking in like generalities here. Is that a general? Yeah.
Oh, hell no, Dave.
Generalizing, yeah, you might get a little bit of that. Try to turn them down service at a restaurant, and you might get yourself in, oh, hell no. That just saying. But this is what I found kind of interesting, right? So according to the postmillennial.com, which sounds like as trustworthy a news site as any, Black Lives Matter is set to protest New York City restaurant where black women were denied service due to lack of vaccine proof. And isn't that kind of interesting? I don't know. It's one of those things you just kind of want to sit back and go, whew, maybe we could weaponize Black Lives Matter to attack the COVID regime. And that would be interesting.
Okay. It would be great and funny to me if all of a sudden Black Lives Matter was my primary ally because they're out there saying that this is a racist policy that disproportionately affects black people, and how dare you? That would be great. From what I read in this article, you got a bunch of women, they show up to a place, they pretend like they never knew that COVID passports were going to be a thing. No one was going to ask them this question, and they instantly decide that this lady is only asking them because she's racist, and they beat the shit out of her. That's what it seems happened. Now,
doesn't seem right.
There shouldn't be a policy. That policy should not exist. If a random person is enforcing that policy, you shouldn't pretend like it came out of nowhere and beat the shit out of them. And Black Lives Matter, which absolutely should be coming to the case of why is there a policy and getting in front of the government and saying, why are you making this racist policy, probably should not be protesting the restaurant where a lady got beaten up, probably for just doing her job and what is government policy. So this is an escalating cartoon of everybody being wrong.
Yes. By the way, I completely agree with you. I completely agree. It's all like fucking some South Park episode. I think Tim Dillon tweeted recently, we're living in a South Park episode. That's what all of it is. Everyone's insane. And I agree with you. So it's not even that I think, Black Lives Matter are my allies on this. The thing that's interesting to me is that does the corporate press now have to demonize Black Lives Matter?
Oh, yeah, that's
because
fun.
They were, they're heroes and what a wonderful movement. And now all of a sudden, if they're standing up against COVID passports, where does that put them?